What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Now, today's video, I'm going to be doing a bookshelf tour, going through all my Star Wars books and comics, legends and canon, and going through them all, showcasing them, and kind of like a this is what I have now. And so hopefully, if this YouTube thing becomes a regular thing for years to come, then I can build upon this list that I already have. So far, I just counted the amount of books. It is 112. I didn't count the comics because there I have a lot of single issue comics, so that's a scary number I don't want to get into. But yeah, so I'm gonna show off all the books I have. I'm gonna go into canon first because that's more of where my knowledge is around. Legends is kind of what I'm working on currently when there are no new canon books out. So I would do Legends books first. I would do High Republic books first out of the canon books, because at the moment that's my favorite time era for books and comics. And then I go in. Then when I'm finished with canon, I will go into Legends books. And the Legend books I will showcase in order of how I think the order is. If I get anything wrong, please let me know in the comments. Obviously, nice, please, because I'm still working on my Legends knowledge. If I get any of the order incorrect of what I currently have, or what I need to finish any series, like any of the Fate of the Jedi Legend series. And after I do that, then we'll go into the comics that I have. Okay, so I hope you enjoy it. Please let me know what you think. Any comments, feedback. If you like the video, please hit like. If you're not subscribed and you love the video, please subscribe, and let me know if this is the type of content I need to do more of, as I obviously am new to this and figuring everything out. And then I'll have a little recap at the end. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy. Alrighty, here are what my bookshelves look like currently. Books, Lego, canon, legends, comics. What do we think? I know the bottom's a bit untidy, but what are our thoughts to start with? So first up, Convergence by Zordea Cordova. This was the first adult book in Phase 2, and we're doing Phase 2 first because in history it is set before Phase 1. Zordea does a fantastic job with the first adult book, really setting up the consequences to come. So, The Battle of Jeddah, written by George Mann. This was probably my favorite of all the adult books of Phase 2, and it being a script style book was really something different from all the other Phase 2 books we got, and something new and refreshing. Cataclysm, written by Lydia Kang. My only thoughts, Axel Greylark, we can change you for the better. Path of Deceit, co-written by Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland, both fantastic authors. And this was the first book of Phase 2, and it was a fantastic start. So Path of Vengeance, written by Kevin Scott. This was the last Phase 2 book. At the end of the book, we get to see a surprise appearance by Yaddle and an awful decision by Yoda. So Quest for Planet X by Tessa Gratton. Now this is one of the 2 children's books of Phase 2. Now why the children's books aren't necessary reading, I do think they add so much character development to the younger characters in the High Republic, and even give us some extra details on some of the main and side storylines going in within all phases of the High Republic. So, Light of the Jedi, written by Charles Soule. This was the first book of Phase 1, first book of the High Republic, and it was a spectacular start to introduce us to the age, to all these characters, give us some early consequences, and setting the scene for the High Republic. So, The Rising Storm, written by Cavan Scott. This is another fantastic book we get from Cavan, setting up the, let's say, traumatic events of the falling star, but yet again another fantastic showcasing of storytelling by Cavan. The Fallen Star, written by Claudia Gray, I think is a book that really proves that, at least for me, Claudia Gray is the standard for authors in Star Wars, but specifically in the High Republic. I get excited for anything Star Wars that she's the author of. The Tempest Runner, written by Cavan Scott, and this is another script book, so something different. But this book is taking the character of Lorna Dee, the monster, the criminal, and then giving her complexity, depth, and a real painful origin story. So the first YA Phase 1 book, Into the Dark, by Claudia Gray. So our first look at the child prodigy herself, Vernestra Rwoh, in Out of the Shadows, written by Justina Ireland. So Midnight Horizon, written by Daniel Jose Older. Honestly, one of my favorite Phase 1 books. Would be my favorite if the Phase 1 wasn't so stacked with great books. And then here is a box set of paperbacks for the YA books from Phase 1 that honestly I just wanted to share because I think they have fantastic cover art. Absolutely phenomenal cover art. And if you're a High Republic fan, especially a Phase 1 High Republic fan, and you don't have this box set, I think you know what you need to go out and do. So the Tales of Light and Life, written by a group effort of High Republic authors, mainly taking place in Phase 1 or the events after Phase 1, and even a story with Phase 2 character Marda Rwoh. So The Eye of Darkness, written by George Mann, was fantastic after almost what felt like 2 years away from the characters of Phase 1. It was fantastic to return to them. Defy the Storm, co-written again by Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland. Another fantastic book written by the two. Escape from Valo, co-written by Daniel Jose Older and Alyssa Wong. I absolutely love this book for being one of the kids' books, but I'm biased. Any book that has Jedi Padawan Ram Jaram in it, I'm there. Star Wars, the High Republic character encyclopedia. Really? I just want to own everything that has to do with the High Republic. So this is the Chronicles of the Jedi book. It is an illustrated guide through the golden age of the Jedi. Tales of Enlightenment, written by George Mann. Just another short stories for the High Republic. And then just an amazing art of the High Republic that I think every Star Wars High Republic fan needs. So, from a certain point of view, Star Wars A New Hope, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. These are 40 stories per book from 40 different authors, from virtually side characters in the background of scenes that you perhaps wouldn't have even thought about their point of view or what was going on in their lives. So some of these stories are absolutely quite fantastic. And honestly, these From a Certain Point of View books are some of my favorite books in all of Star Wars. So Star Wars, Stories of the Jedi and the Sith, 8 characters written by 8 different authors. Just a good time. So Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Stories of Light and Dark. We have 10 authors here writing stories from characters from the Clone Wars. Again, just a good time. Nothing groundbreaking going on, but it is just a good time reading these stories. So Star Wars, The Alphabet Squadron. This is a trilogy taking place after Return of the Jedi, but before the sequel trilogy. Second book in the series, we have Shadowfall, also written by Alexander Freed. And then the third in the series is Victory's Price. Star Wars The Aftermath Trilogy. This is the first of 3 books. I've been trying to find the other 2 that aren't ridiculously priced for hardcovers, which at the moment seems impossible. Then we have Skywalker, A Family at War, written by Christine Baver. Now, this is a cool little book my wife picked up for me from a bookstore in Melbourne, Australia. The original Star Wars trilogy books, all in one little tiny book with a fantastic little paperback cover. So Star Wars Phasma, written by Delilah S. Dawson. Honestly, the most underrated Star Wars book to date. Say what you want about the character in sequels, this character is phenomenal. And then this book follows up Captain Phasma and Black Spire, also written by Delilah S. Dawson. So Queen Shadow. This is the first of 3 books around Queen Amidala Padme, written by E.K. Johnston. These books, personally, I really enjoyed. She was not a character I thought I didn't love, but after the end of these 3 books, all the character development, all the lore stuff we get on Naboo, I thoroughly enjoyed them. So Star Wars Most Wanted, written by Ray Carlson. This is one of, I think, about 4 books left in canon I've still yet to read. I will get there eventually. There's just no audiobook at the moment for me to read. Star Wars Ahsoka, written by E.K. Johnston, set just after the fall of the Empire. So Crimson Climb, written by E.K. Johnston, centered around Kira after Han leaves Corellia in the Solo movie and how Kira gets to Crimson Dawn. Poe Dameron, Freefall, written by Alex Segura. Now, this is one of my 4 canon books that I've yet to read so far. So Catalyst, written by James Luceno. It is a book connected to the events of the Rogue One movie and gives us some insight on the early days of the Death Star. So Rebel Rising, written by Beth Revis, and another one obviously connected to the movie Rogue One. Lost Stars, written by you-know-who, Claudia Gray. This is a recent read of mine. This is absolutely S-tier Star Wars reading. Star Wars Leia, written again by Claudia Gray, one of my 4 canon books that I've yet to read, but I've always heard phenomenal things about it. So, Star Wars Padawan, written by Kirsten White, and obviously it is centered around a Padawan, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, Star Wars The Living Force, written by John Jackson Miller, one of our most recent canon releases. Fantastic book set around the Jedi Council before the events of The Phantom Menace. Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars, written by Sam Maggs. Honestly, one of my most disappointing reads for Star Wars canon to this date. Star Wars Battlefront 2 Inferno Squadron, written by Christy Golden. The Last Shot, written by Daniel Jose Older, stars Han Solo, stars Lando Calrissian. What more could you need? The Princess and the Scoundrel, written by Beth Revis, virtually the days after Return of the Jedi and Han Solo and Princess Leia get married. Brotherhood, written by Mike Chen, starring Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and Asajj Ventress makes an appearance. Star Wars Shadow of the Sith, written by Adam Christopher. Absolutely fantastic book. Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade, written by Delilah S. Dawson. Thrawn Ascendancy, Chaos Rising, written by the man himself, Timothy Zahn. Star Wars Thrawn Ascendancy, Greater Good, again written by Timothy Zahn. Thrawn Ascendancy Lesser Evil, the last Thrawn book we have gotten to date. Star Wars Thrawn, written by Timothy Zahn, the early days of Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Empire. Star Wars Thrawn Alliances. Does Thrawn know who Darth Vader is? Star Wars Thrawn Treason, again written by Timothy Zahn. Star Wars Myths and Fables, written by George Mann. Star Wars The Smuggler's Guide. 100 Objects, written by Christine Baver. Before the Awakening, written by Greg Rucka. And then the Star Wars Archives for episodes 1 to 3, written by Paul Duncan. And then episodes 4 through 6. And then we have one of my favorite pieces, The Art of Star Wars Rebels. An absolute must have for anyone who loves Star Wars Rebels, the TV show, and has some cool, interesting early drawings and concept art for all the characters. Dawn of the Jedi, Into the Void, written by Tim Lebon, one of the Essential Legends collection books. Outbound Flight, written by Timothy Zahn, another Essential Legends collection book. Darth Maul Shadowhunter, written by Michael Reeves. My latest legend book that I have read, Yoda Dark Rendezvous, written by Sean Stewart. My first ever Star Wars book, Heir to the Empire, book 1 of the Thrawn trilogy. And then how could I not have the 20th anniversary edition of Heir to the Empire? Heir to the Empire, again, but a different edition by Hugo award-winning Timothy Zahn. So I have book 2 and book 3 of different editions of the Heir to the Empire trilogy that I found these at a book fair, but were missing their covers. Vectum Prime that I found at a book fair, also missing its cover. And then Outcast, a book from the Fate of the Jedi series written by Aaron Alston. Apocalypse by Troy Denning from the Fate of the Jedi series. And then Omen, written by Christy Galton, another Fate of the Jedi book. Shadows of the Empire, written by Steve Perry. Now we're going to get into the Legends books that I have not read. And then we have Children of the Jedi, written by Barbara Hembley. And then we have Planet of Twilight, also written by Barbara Hembley. Then we have I, Jedi, written by Michael A. Stockpole. And then we have The Truce at Bukhara, written by Kathy Tyers. Now, The Darksaber, written by Kevin J. Anderson. The Millennium Falcon, written by James Luceno. Now, The Old Republic Fatal Alliance, written by Sean Williams. I couldn't have this and not be a teenage fan of the video game KOTOR. And then Star Wars Episode 1, A Phantom Menace, written by Terry Brooks. I actually have 2 of these, because they actually, Amazon released 4 different covers of this book, which I'm hoping to find the other 2 shortly. And then we have my copy of Attack of the Clones, Episode 2, written by R.A. Salvatore. So now we have the comics and the 3 Edge of Balance books by Daniel Jose Older. And then we have my omnibus from the main comic book series for the High Republic. I just love the art of this whole series. And then we have from the 2020 comic book run of Dr. Aphra, the omnibus, but still searching for the 2016 one. And then we have the Darth Vader omnibus. So I do apologize. A lot of these comics I have not held them in the correct position, but we have Temple of Balance, we have Yoda, we have a Lando, we have a main series for the Star Wars comic. We do have a comic for Rogue One, the movie. And then lastly, here we have a lot of my Phase 1 High Republic, either single issue or the 1 through 4 and 5 through 8 comics for the main series, and the Adventures and the Trail of Shadows comic book series. But I do apologize, I did not frame a lot of these comics correctly, so I've cut out a lot of them. But if you want to see what I have in comic books, please let me know in the comments, and I will make a video solely focused on that. Okay, so we finished with the recap. Well, I'm about to finish this video. I have counted the comics along with the books, and like we're looking at 170. Now, for anyone watching this that has a vast Star Wars book and comic collection, you're like, oh, I've got much more than that. I want to add that for me, I think it's quite large, considering I only really started collecting Star Wars books and comics, maybe have started this in the last 3 years. I think in 3 years to go from the only Star Wars book I had was Heir of the Empire to where we're at to now, I think is astounding. In 3 years, this amount of Star Wars media physically in books and comics, I don't want to know the price. I don't want to know the price, considering I'm a book hardcover fanatic. Uh, and yeah, if like when Canon Books comes out now, like I'm not interested in the paperback. I will wait the extra month here in Australia to get a hardcover or order something in from the US or the UK. Find a bookstore over there and spend the extra money shipping. Looking at like $70-$80 just to get a book. Like at the moment, I'm waiting on Temptation of the Force from a bookstore in the UK. That yeah, I think I spent $85 on it to get it, and that's just a normal straight hardcover. No fancy under the jacket or anything like that. Just a standard hardcover. So that's where I'm at with collecting my Star Wars books, and thankfully, since I've added in these 2 Billy cases, when me and my wife moved into our current house, has given me so much more room, and I'm a lot flexible and on how I want them to set up if I ever change, and have more room for a lot more books to come. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So thank you for anyone that's watched this long, heard me ramble forever, gone through my 100+ books and comics, legends and canon. And let me know where your collection is at, if you're into books and comics like myself. Yeah, and just be interesting to hear from more people. And let me know if this is the type of content that you vibe with, and just so I know what I can and what I should be making that people are following along to. So thank you for the video. Thank you for watching the video. Acolyte for me tomorrow night. Oh, it comes out tomorrow morning, but I wait for my wife to get home from work. as I'm off work at the moment. So yeah, Acolyte tomorrow. Cannot wait. Hopefully find out an identity of Darth Toothy. And yeah, may the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next video.